we at times are over glamorizing the photography, the architectural photography that we do, where my greed to photograph those buildings always was to photograph it. It was not about just the forms, but it was also about the people who gave life to the building. The architecture and light are like married to each other. Right? For me, the focus is more on light, is more on people, and is more on the environment with which the whole space interacts with. So I feel whatever technology is coming till date has just made the process of photography easy, because of which photography has become better at. The kind of projects you do are treated very differently in a way on how people and the nature will interpret the project for you. Follow the pattern of the daily usage of the building, keeping the architecture in the background, so and helping them elevate their own experience.
I would like to give a brief introduction about you. So, after having an MBA degree in marketing and packaging and marketing and being successful businessman in the field of packaging and timber, he followed his calling very late in life and became a full-time photographer. He is currently enlisted with UNICEF as a photographer in India and works for various prestigious organizations and ministries. He has done 6 solo shows and his work has been exhibited at Vitra Design Museum, Switzerland, Munech, Germany, Shanghai Power Station of Art, National Gallery of Modern Art and Vienna, Austria. He has won several awards by CNN, Sony World Photo, I&B Ministry, etc. He was a runner-up at National Geographic mission cover shoot and currently is a trainer with Nikon India and has trained over 8,000 photographers. He has been a part of several books, the recent one being Architecture for the People, winning an award for the best book on architecture in London. Thank you, sir, for joining us with us today. It is a pleasure to have this conversation with you. So, without a further ado, I would like to get into this conversation. And I would firstly want to start with your journey has, in the photography, came a lot later in your life. So, what influenced you to become a photographer?
Yeah, firstly, I'd like to congratulate you guys and appreciate the fact that you're bringing, different stories to life. That's what we also do in a different format in photography. So for me, I belong to a business family, and during my college itself, being the only son, although no one forced me to do it, but I always had that, ingrained in my mind that I always had to join my family because of business, because that's what generation that we do. And without anybody telling me, in a very natural process, I joined the family business. And during college itself, we were just doing that. Photography was a hobby which was an accident, where I bought a camera and then, I was just shooting every weekend, and that's what I was doing. And I kept into my family business for quite some years, but I knew somehow that, I was never too inclined towards that. Although I was doing it out of responsibility of myself for the family. Again, nobody told me to do it, but I thought that's how the society functions, where you grow up, join a business, make money, and you support the family. And that's what I was doing, but I never enjoyed, we were into retail initially of plywood. And I never enjoyed, talking too much to people and bargaining and negotiating, because I'm not somebody I'm an introvert basically. I don't like to negotiate too much. What I want. So I did that for a couple of years, and then I thought, this is not my cup of tea, and I got into production so that I could move out of the retail part, and we started a few factories. And I did all of this for a good 20 years of my life, where a lot of incidents happened, where there were a lot of indications that I had to move out of that field, and somehow that happened, and I was lucky that I found my life's calling very late in life, but I did become a full-time photographer.
So, along your journey from selling your camera to winning so many prestigious awards, what are some of the key milestones or turning point or challenges, you can say, that came through your journey? that you'd like
So,
to share?
as I told you, I was never into photography. None of my relatives or friends or even myself had ever dreamt that I would ever be doing photography for a living. But while I was doing business, I had a camera and I used to shoot every weekend. Shooting people, shooting in villages, and just shooting documentary photographs. And basically, I did that for 6 months or a year. And at that time, we did not have Instagram, we didn't have Facebook, so we didn't know where to send our pictures and try to understand whether these pictures are good or bad. Because today you have that instant validation on Instagram, which is right or wrong, but at least you know where to put your pictures. In nowhere, at least they can go on Instagram. So I thought that I was just wasting my time, and rather than being with the family, I was out every Sunday and shooting people who I didn't know, and I knew I was making good images, but I didn't know what to do with them. So I got fed up, and in about 1 year I sold my camera, thinking that it was a complete mistake. Now, for the next 1 year, when I was not doing anything on weekends, I took out the entire stock of photographs that I had, and then I started posting them on different competitions. So I didn't know what would happen. But after 3 months, suddenly I got a call from National Press Photographers Association of America that I was one of the 3 people who won a big award in America for one picture. So I thought it's good, maybe it was an accident. And then again I got an award in Venice, and then by some ministry, and then by CNN. So while I didn't have a camera, I started winning a lot of awards because I was sending out pictures, right? So I started asking myself, and the family also started telling me that maybe you're a good photographer, right? Because all of us need that third party validation. Yeah. Somebody has to come and pat your back, good job, right? So if somebody tells you you're good, you think you're good, otherwise you don't realize you're good. Most of us make that mistake. Right. Like today Instagram tells you you're good or bad. Exactly. Although I don't agree with it. But I got that validation and I thought maybe I'm making a mistake. Why don't I still continue photography? I managed to pull out some funds again from my savings, and I thought let us buy one more camera. And by that time digital was more common, so I thought it's easier because I just have to not go through the whole process of darkroom processing and then waiting for images, and the whole cost of the analog era was no longer there. So I bought a digital camera again, and I started making a lot of pictures. I knew one thing, that if I wanted to become more serious, I needed a mentor. I just did not want to be shooting in the dark. There were no YouTube or very less YouTube material, I believe, at that time. Books were scarce, very difficult to access with the limited time that I had. So I kept on shooting, but I kept on looking for a mentor, and I found a guy called Fauzan. So Fauzan was the chief photographer of India Today, and he had an exhibition here. And I went to meet him in Ahmedabad, and he was quite eager to and easy to talk to. And I told him, sir, I have a dream that one day I want to do an exhibition in NCP in Mumbai. Right. Now I don't know where the term came from or why I wanted to do an exhibition there. I also had no clue. But somehow I had heard somewhere कि NCP में बड़े photographers exhibition करते हैं. मतलब सर life में एक बार उधर exhibition करते. So Fauzan became a friend, and then he goes back to Bombay. He had obviously exhibited many times over there. He knew the people there, and he just booked the gallery for me a year in advance. Oh. He paid the fees, he did everything, and then he called me on the phone. He said, "Boss, I've already booked the gallery at NCPA for you, and next December you're doing a show." I was very happy, but I was very nervous. कि इतने बड़े exhibition में दिखाऊंगा क्या? What am I going to show there? So he said, "That is your problem now. I have given you what you wanted." I said, no, you have to help me out in this. And so he basically then, we decided on a topic that I wanted to shoot on festivals of India. Right. So I started traveling with him, traveling alone, and then taking off time of work, and then, take images regularly. He helped me curate the show. And finally a show did happen there. Good or bad, at least I could, exhibit an NCP. And through him, I also had always an inner desire. Every photographer has a desire to meet one great photographer, and I thought I had to meet Raghurai for some reason. Right? He was he is still the god of photography for most photographers. Accidentally, Raghurai was in Ahmedabad when I was doing an exhibition, and Fauzan helped Raghurai, come to my exhibition, and that was my first meeting with him. And we exchanged numbers, and after a year, I just dropped a message to Raghuvel and I said, I want to meet you. I thought he's never going to reply. And one day, he just messaged, okay, please come.
Right.
So I went to his office where I was in Delhi, and I showed him some work that I had on barbers in India, which I thought was great work because I had shot only barbers in the country for 3 years, and I was about to produce a book on it. Raghu saw the work, and he didn't really appreciate the work, and he said, you need to go a long way, and you need to work very hard, and he was very, very honest in telling me that I was way behind on what I could be. And I said, and he used the word, which still sticks in my mind, and he told me, "Tumhara kaam bahut beemar hai." So, it came as a shock because already I was winning awards, I was doing this, but then, it hit me below the belt, and I said, now I have to work at it. But I told him one thing, that अगर ये काम बीमार है तो आपको इसको ठीक कर. He said, time आएगा तो बताओ. Similarly, in architectural photography also, Raghurai introduced me to B.V. Doshi. I was really, I just heard of his name, I didn't know his work at all. I was totally ignorant because I never thought architectural photography, I'll ever do this, very boring to shoot. There were shooting people out there. Right? So, Doshi told me, why don't you shoot a few buildings? I don't like what is there? And I went to his office for the first time, and I didn't have a tripod. Doshi said, you don't have a tripod. That's when I realized that architects photographers need a tripod also. But I said, just let me shoot the way I did, and he obviously was a great guy. I said, I leave it to you. And we shot his office as I would shoot a story on the street. What people do, what happens. And my greed to photograph Doshi's building always was to photograph him.
Right.
Because he came across as, a great personality, very, very, he was like a magnet, you wanted to be near him, listen to what he says, and every single thing he said was like a life lesson.
Mm-hmm.
So he really liked the work I did. Then I, got more serious. I bought a tripod. I bought a lot more gear, and I thought I need to be more professional. And I started looking at it more seriously. But I knew I had to put my style in it because I really did not enjoy contemporary architecture. So the briefs that Doshi gave me for those 6 years were very different. Because when he took me to a building, he never spoke about the material he's used, or he never spoke about, look at the curve that I've given, or how a normal architect would explain his project to you. His brief was very different.
Right.
He'd make you. I remember an incident in Bangalore when I was standing and a student was just resting on a pillar. Now it's very normal for somebody to rest on a pillar. And he started feeling very happy. And he said, see how my architecture is being interpreted by the guy.
Mm-hmm.
So his interpretations of architecture were very different and they were in sync with what I wanted to do. So all these incidences and, things together and then my father passed away and I continued business for 1 more year, and then Doshi and Raghurai were still in touch. They used to meet me regularly and tell me that you need to get out of this, get out of this. And finally, with their support and this thing, I just wanted to go discipline. I just wanted to do with this. Let's give it a shot.
So you were running with the business and photography together?
Together, yes, but it was very difficult because you couldn't do assignments on the go. I could just work on weekends, so I was leaving out a lot of serious assignments. And plus, when I was doing photography on the weekends or off weekends, there was a lot of mental disturbance because you're also into business. You're the only guy, you're running 2-3 factories, and all the hassles of business do not support a creative environment, right? So it had to be this or that. And I thought it would be that, because I was obviously making good money over there.
Right.
But and it was a very stable career. I was already married, I had kids. I was 44. And then I didn't even know how much photographers make, right? So, but I thought, let's take on it. Just jumped into it.
Right.
Yeah.
So, can you take us through the journey as an architectural photographer? You started off with Doshi sir, and then how did the journey go till now? The kind of projects that you worked on, and how do you capture the essence of architectural building?
So see, why, as I told you, the first assignment was for B.V. Doshi. That's like shooting for the god of architecture, right? So
yes.
It couldn't be a better beginning. So obviously I was making great images because the buildings were great, but the context in which I was shooting was even better for me because I was trained by Raghuram, and basically I was mixing all his teachings and the experience that he and Fauzan gave me in terms of documentary and people, and mixing them with the buildings, So it was not about just the forms, but it was also about the people who gave life to the buildings.
Right.
So I did that for a couple of years, and then gradually started approaching more commercial architects. So I worked with Hirenpatel also, who's also a good architect in Ahmedabad, and I worked with Rajiv Bhai. So everybody and anybody who I shot with, I showed just those images, and basically they also allowed me to experiment my form of architectural photography into any kind of architecture that was doing, right. So when I met a very good architect, he showed me some reference images and he said, look at this, look at that. And basically, all I thought at that time, and I still feel today to a point, is that we at times are over glamorizing the photography, the architectural photography that we do, where, we are, even if the one side of a pillow is 1 inch off and, it's turned, or there is a slight wrinkle on the bed, it's not good. Right, so I used to find it very ridiculous. I still find it ridiculous, although I have to do it at point of time. That how does it matter? If you're designing such a big house, you're not an architect who's going out and selecting curtains and cushions. Right? You're somebody who's designed the architecture. And for example, when I was shooting for the same architect, I always talk to the clients of the architect when I shoot. Okay. So I was shooting a huge house, and they were just setting up everything correct and this thing. So the client comes and tells me कि हमने जो खरीदा है वो सब क्या खराब है क्या? Or the way do I stay, is it bad? I said, why is it bad? Do you like your house? What is that you like in your house? He said, see, when I go out and look in my garden, I love looking at my house. And when I am inside, I love looking outside. That is the beauty of the architecture. I said, the architect has done his job. He's not even talking about the beds and the curtains and the cushions. So why am I shooting that? So he started translating that guy's emotions and feelings into the photographs that we were taking, with a couple of shots which are compulsory to shoot as well, but mostly we were shooting with my style, and I started approaching institutions and buildings where I could fit my style. And I feel the best shoots I've done are also around the kind of style that I like doing the most, rather than the two made up shoots. But you have to do them because even those shoots are needed for architects for future business, but we still try to get people and our style into the frames. So gradually that style has started being accepted in our city and in our country. So I started carving a niche for the kind of photography that I want to do, and I also got into filmmaking for architecture, which very few people were and are doing. So that helped me translate the essence of the building into a different visual art. And post-COVID, I feel, this industry has boomed so much because people are suddenly more serious about the house. So, architects, I believe, are more busy than ever. And Instagram is giving the architects most of the work, and it's also giving people like us a lot of work. So, documenting images has become, every project has become, almost imperative. So suddenly there's a lot of work in architectural photography. Right. So we also have the option of working from him, not working for him, working for this kind of project. So basically, we're just trying to explore this more and more, and it's becoming better every day.
Right. So this, takes me to my next question. Is that how is the process of your architecture shoot? Is it that you choose a project, or is it a project or a space that chooses you? How does it go like?
See, basically, one thing is that in today's world, if you have to be hired, the client has to hire you, right? You don't choose the client. The client has to choose you. So basically, but he has to understand that this is this photographer's strength, that is that photographer's strength. So now architects maybe have a diverse portfolio of photographers also. Usually it used to be just one photographer for an architect married for life, right? Today an architect will have 3-4 photographers based on the budgets and also the style of photography, right?
Yes.
So if a certain style of a project suits me, an architect would call for me. And if certain style doesn't suit me, he wouldn't call me. And at times if he would call me for a style of work that I don't enjoy, probably I would tell him that, this is something I don't want to do.
Right.
Although if a project comes, every time you take it up as a challenge. and every project is new always. So you try and bring your style of, like, I play a lot with light. For me, architecture is zero without light. So I don't shoot if there's no sunlight. If it's a cloudy day, I'll cancel the shoot. So even if I'm shooting an apartment, I'm at ease if there's a lot of sunlight coming in. So we just follow the light, and we follow a lot about nature. So that whole process of taking projects which basically excite you and inspire you is a better word. So if the project inspires you, I think it can give out your best. Otherwise, if it doesn't inspire you, probably the next time you would tell the architect, because you're wasting your money on me if you're asking me to this kind of a shoot, and let's not do it.
Right. So, like you said about light is one of the major aspects when you do the shoot. What are some of top 5 aspects that you think of before selecting a frame? Like, okay, this is the frame that I want to take a shoot of.
See, I'll tell you something that one thing that I always believe in is I always try and visit a project before it's shot, because one thing is important, that architecture and light are like married to each other, right? So one thing I always study is where the light is going to be, and I just follow the light from morning to night. I still shoot from before sunrise to after sunset.
Right.
Although a lot of photographers tell me that you'll burn out if you shoot so much, you should shoot less. But then I believe if an architect's taken 5 years or 6 years of his life and build, something which is his creation, I at least can give him that 4 hours extra to shoot. So light is obviously one thing, but basically what is important to us is, once I never overplan. So when I reach there, I love to shoot from my heart, not from my mind. So once you're there, you basically, react to whatever the architect is telling you, because half of the times he only gets goosebumps when he always starts shooting. So you observe on what is he shooting and why, what is that he's liking and why he's liking. Right? How does, when correct light falls on a space, suddenly that magic happens. You get goosebumps, he gets goosebumps, and basically said, yeah, this is the frame.
Yes.
So, if a project speaks to you, you just react to it. So I've been a documentary photographer where we are not directors. We're just reacting to the right things in the right manner. So here also I try to react to light. And also we react to people. Right. It could be the owners of the house. It could be just the caretakers. Like I remember a project where we shot, a bungalow where I was there. It was a farmhouse. Okay. So it used to be empty and only a caretaker used to stay there. So when I reached there, this little son of the caretaker was running around in the whole house, and I thought it was like his own house, and he was enjoying the most. And he was interpreting the house, and giving me ideas for the shoot I never thought. Mm-hmm. So he would bend down to the lotus pond, he would touch the walls, he would sleep on the swing, he would open the doors and run out in the garden. So, we just thought, let us interpret the house from his eyes. Mm-hmm. We actually shot every photograph from his eye level, and on the activities that he would do and how he would see the house. And it was an experiment, but it worked very well. So every shoot we try and reach there and interpret it the way it speaks to you. Right. So there are no fixed frames that I have to shoot the bed straight and cross, or yeah. And secondly, you ask yourself, obviously you've been hired, you've been paid, so you need to understand, what does the architect want. Mm-hmm. Right? He wants this for what? Right? Obviously for his next assignment, or for more business, or for presenting in awards or whatever. But you ask yourself that, why did the architect build this? Right? So if there's a great outdoor view, I will not focus on the bed a lot. Right. But if he says that, I've created this bed, this wall, and this is what I brought, so I understand that, this is very important for him. So then you focus on that, and, also take some ideas on that. So a conversation is always on between me and the architect. And if he's not there, then a conversation would have happened earlier. And I also tend to speak a lot to the owners of the house. Right.
So, taking a lot of people are, like you said, that now because of Instagram and all, there are a lot of photographers out there. But sometimes what happens is that rather than, they amplify things a lot rather than what it actually is. So when we look at the space, when we actually go there and look at the space, it is something different from what it is in the picture. So, what we all know that photography is way beyond just amplifying things and giving the 100% truth, that is the true essence of the architecture's vision. So how do you think one can do that by giving the justice as well as not amplifying it to something else itself?
See, if you're talking about institutions, then there's no amplifying, right? You're basically just shooting, and I mainly love shooting institutions and larger houses. So in the architectural essence of it, you're not amplifying. A lot of styling, if you call it, is happening now in interiors because most magazines or most platforms will not publish if your house does not look to a certain level, or your next client will not choose if you're to a certain level. So what I spoke to a lot of architects, and what most of them said that we would have wanted to make the house to look like this, but the client did not allow us, or he did not have the budgets. So maybe they're just trying to set it up in between what it should be and what it is.
Right.
So in a way it's okay, right? In a way it's okay because the architect is trying to tell you, but this is how I have made it, right? And we try to shoot it like that and present it like that. So we're just making it more presentable. But as I said, for me, the focus is more on light, is more on people, and is more on the environment with which the whole space interacts with, right? So if you have all that correct, then all these things automatically fall in place. But yet, it has to be like presentable.
Right. And now everyone is on, they have iPhones. So now people think that, having iPhone, we can be a great photographer as well. So we all know photography is a lot more beyond than just capturing or taking pictures of just random things or anything like that. So how, we can bring more awareness about photography and what actually is photography. It is way beyond more than this. So
see, all of us have had pens and pencils right from KC, but all of us are not writers.
Yeah.
So everybody has a tool to shoot, and everybody's shooting, and they're free to shoot. Right. So if they think I'm making great images, I'm a great photographer, that makes them happy. Period. They have a platform today. In a way, Instagram is good because they have a platform where they can post, and whether it's a photo of food or just a selfie or a travel blog or whatever, people are shooting.
Yeah.
So when suddenly iPhone or whatever camera photography, phone photography became very popular, we were also questioned that what is the future now? When everybody has a phone and producing great images. We also thought that maybe our time is coming to an end. But actually what happened was everybody is now more aware about photography. Right? So if you are also shooting pictures, he's also shooting pictures, everybody is shooting pictures every day. Whether it's just of a document or a building or whatever you're shooting.
Right.
So everybody has become a photographer to a certain extent, and everybody is more knowledgeable about the art of photography, and suddenly they appreciate photography more.
Right.
So I believe there's more work for photographers because of that. Right? And art more because people understand that ये मैं shoot नहीं कर सकता. Right? So basically there's a photographer who will and he'll probably shoot it. Like every architect has good phones. But they are not great photographers always, right? Some of them are, some of them are not. But they have started appreciating the role of photography, and that's why we are getting more work. Right. And then secondly, what I believe is all these tools just help the photography become easy. Right? So if I have a better camera, it just makes the process of shooting easy, right? If I was shooting on film, I had to think of 20 things, use a light meter, and basically take a calculated risk every time, go back, process, and do dodging, burning, and then I would get to 90% of the image, right?
Right.
So the whole process of the science of photography took away 50% of my creativity because I was always worried about going wrong.
Right.
Today I know that I would be foolish if I just make any mistake because I can see what I'm shooting, right? So I just make the basic settings, and so the leeway to give more time to creativity is more. So I'm making better images. Right? So I feel whatever technology is coming till date has just made the process of photography easy, because of which photography has become better at it. Right. Some people say the purity of photography is lost or whatever. I don't believe in it. You have to adopt the technology. Whatever is happening is for the good, I think.
So you have short projects that are at urban level, rural level, and architecture, interior. So how do you perceive every different space while taking a photography of such difference of scale and sizes of project?
See, as I said, again, it's about treating each project very individually, because each project has a very different character in terms of the context where it is, the kind of people who are going to use it, the kind of treatment that the architect has given, and basically what it means to him and what it means to the people. Right. For example, the school that I shot in Jaisalmer, when I reached there, it was just, I had seen some images of it. I was actually going to shoot it and I couldn't make it. And when I saw the image on the cover of a renowned magazine, I said, why did I not shoot the building? But I didn't see a lot of pictures of children in it. So I was very curious. So I called up the architect and I said, I really want to visit this building and I'm coming to Jaisalmer. Can I just go and shoot it for myself? She said, don't shoot it for yourself, shoot it for us because we need some more images. So she gave me the sign. And I went to that building and I saw the building was all blank because just after COVID, very few kids were coming. And it was a beautiful building. But I thought I could just shoot it in like 2 hours and get lost because, it's just a circle. So I just told the chowkidar, speaking to him, typical Rajasthani guy, the pagri and all that. And he said, my granddaughters go to study here and they really enjoy it. I said, वो कब आए? So he said, अभी तो 15-20 बच्चे ही आते हैं, तो वो कल सुबह आए. So I said, okay, कल हम picnic organize करते हैं, तो we bought some pencils and we bought some, things for them and I said, let them have a good time. And we'll observe what they do. So I always always feel the kids interpret architecture the best. They don't have set rules. Like they can sleep upside on the bed and they can be half outside the window. They interpret the architecture the best.
Right.
So the kids came in the morning and the moment they saw the school, they got off the bus and they started running all around. And they were screaming and jumping and using the architecture in a way where I had not thought they would use. They were down the slopes, sliding down, going on the terrace, coming down, sitting in the class. And they were not worried about anything in the world except being in the building. Now when I asked the kids, यार इतना मजा क्यों आ रहा है? तो one of the girls said कि घर पे बहुत मार पड़ी. The thing was COVID and children home, so everybody is frustrated. The frustration gets out of the kids. Suddenly, and they were away from jail and they were out in this building. I said, "ये building तो हमारे लिए बनाई गई है वो लोग बोले." So they were very excited. So I just thought, let's interpret what the kids are saying. And for 2 days, we just shot a film and photos of what they were doing.
Right.
Light, no light. We used to be ready in the light and we used to wait that the kids will come there and do something and magic was happening. I believe if you give your 100%, the divine also helps. Right? So things were actually happening and we ourselves were getting goosebumps out of the shoot so much that, we were there actually 16 hours a day just not getting out of space. So those didn't become better. But we got some very amazing images again because the architecture was so nice. The light played out very well and of course it was the children who made the whole process. So the whole idea of the kind of projects you do are treated very differently in a way on how people and the nature will interpret the project for you.
Right.
So, like Abhi, if he shot a community center in Jaipur, in Bikaner for another architect. Again, you realize that there was no digital library in like 30 kilometers of the vicinity.
Right.
So when the kids came there, they saw a garden in the middle of the desert. They went crazy. The locals were coming for a walk. So we just followed the pattern of the daily usage of the building, keeping the architecture in the background. And helping them elevate their own experience.
Right.
So, if you feel a good architecture for me is if it can elevate the lifestyle of the people for whom it is made, right? Basically, I think it's a successful piece of architecture,
right.
Rather than just being a beautiful built form.
Definitely. So, coming up to my next question, that the process of photography. How is it like when you first see the building? Is it like you said, children help you to guide you through the building? But when it is not a project where it's for the children, some other project, if you may say, then how do you go through the space? What do you think of? This is the first thing that I should capture, or what's your process like?
See, as I said, I just follow the light, right? So the way light and nature interacts with the building, we just follow that. And we just keep capturing spaces and however light falls on it or how the nature would interact. So if you have some plants coming in or whatever is happening in terms of nature interacting with the building, you do that. But if it's an interior heavy project where there's no art and architecture, where you're shooting a sample flat, then basically you have you keep in mind the need of the person who's hired.
Right.
So if a sample flat is there, I know that the developer wants to, sell this project. So you will approach it from his point of view.
Right.
Right. So you will shoot from a point of view of a hoarding or an Instagram post or a YouTube post or whatever, keeping in mind that my photograph should help the builder sell more, so that he will give me more.
Right.
If you're shooting for an interior designer, the same project, right? So if it's for a builder, you're shooting wider images because you want to show the space big. If you're shooting for an interior designer, I know he wants to show the detailing is given, the personal touch that is given. So he's trying to tell me that sofa ka edge nahi lo. I said, how is it changing somebody's life? But I now know that he actually designed that turned brass handle on the sofa. It took him 4 months to. So you understand the stories that he gave. Like we shot a building in Vijayawada where he had thousands of pieces of metal, each of a different bend, and then they were put together. Imagine the effort. Right. Thousands of pieces all bent differently. How do they even come together to make a structure? So when I realized that I just couldn't get off the skeleton of the building, I just started shooting around.
Right.
So you try to listen to these stories and you understand the need of this thing and you react to it. I never think that, I know what I'm doing. I've done about 1,000 buildings and you don't teach me what to do.
Right.
You always go there as a fresher and I'm always very nervous before every shoot.
Right.
Because I don't know what I'm going to produce. So boss, if I spoil the shoot, he doesn't pay me, no problem. But this guy has put in 2 years or 3 years or 5 years of work. If I don't do it well, what great injustice have I done to him?
Right.
So I'm always very, very scared, even today when I go for a shoot. And luckily, I'm always very happy when I go for a shoot.
Right.
Yeah.
So, your work with UNICEF in India and various prestigious organizations demonstrated a commitment to using photography as a tool for social impact. So, what motivates you to focus on projects which signifies social relevance?
Okay, so the thing is, I have been always a documentary photographer and architecture, so abhi hua like 3-4 years before only I started getting so much work. Before that, I was already working with UNICEF and other ministries. But what I enjoy shooting most is the people. That's why I shoot people also in architecture. So UNICEF gives me the opportunity, obviously, to help create a social impact. But it also helps me, one, to travel and meet and understand more people. Like I'm a very good observer and I like to invite stories of people into my life and I try to observe and understand what people do, how do they live and what can I learn from them. How can I present this story to others? Right, so that's been my primary role as a photographer. Like you're always capturing history and I like to shoot on the road when I'm going. So basically you're just trying to capture the time you're in. Right? So as photographers we are capturing history. Right, so before 30 minutes of what we meant, something must have happened which is never going to happen here also. Right. So we forgot to capture that. Right. So basically, UNICEF and these kind of things help me, capture a different form of photography, and it gives me a break from architecture because, otherwise you start stagnating and you start to create a style because I know that camera yahi rakhna, palang aise hi shoot hota hai. Right. So if somebody comes and tell me, seeing this photograph, I could realize this is your picture. Now I used to think that's a compliment, but then I started thinking, boss, I'm getting too predictable. That people can predict कि तो ऐसी photo खींचता है, right? So I don't do one form of photography. Like in July or June this month, I'm not doing any architecture photography.
Okay.
Right. I'm trying to work for UNICEF or other organizations or other ministries when I'm moving away from architecture. Or I'll shoot for myself. Right. I also still shoot a lot for myself. So shooting stories and creating books. So you need to break away from certain style of work so that brings freshness and more learnings into your current work. Right. So UNICEF helps me do that. And yes, doing work for such a prestigious organization always boosts your confidence, makes you feel good. And obviously it gives you the immense satisfaction of bringing your stories of people and probably those photos are helping, bring some change into those people's lives.
Right. So, like, given your extensive portfolio and your diverse experience, what advice would you give to the individual, the younger generation that want to pursue this, photography as their career option? And, it's a lot of this happens a lot in architecture schools that the architecture students want to pursue photography as their profession. So, how should they go about all that?
So from my example, I think what I want to tell people is never too late and have to do whatever you want, right? So I became a full-time photographer at the age of 44, right? And I was totally new when I jumped into it, almost new. But if you keep going at it, I did succeed. So to a certain extent, people can succeed. And today it's much more easier because there's a lot more work in every form of photography. So photography today is a great career. When I thought of, professional photographers, 15 years ago, maybe I thought of that. All people used to ask me, "तुम शादी की photo खींच के घर कैसे चलोगे?" So all people knew is that only wedding photographers or a studio photographer can make money. Today there are such specialized scheme where I recently heard that even baby photography is becoming bigger, or maternity photography is a specialization. Wedding obviously is there. Architecture is there. And architecture also you have photographers who are specializing in interiors, some in architecture, some in institutions. So it's branching out. There's a big niche and there's a big demand for everything. So I think it's easy. Only thing is you need to be at it. And one thing that I see is don't get into third party validations as I did initially. Instagram is there, not there. Your work should be such that you should feel happy. Like, in this year only, I was just going through some of my images, and 70% of the projects where I went through, I said, why did I shoot this? I'm not feeling happy about it. The architect was very happy. He paid me and he's giving more work after that. But I said, probably, now I want to do it. So shoot for yourself also. Right? You can't be from day one saying, boss, I'll not do this. You'll have to do everything that comes your way, but then put your style. Like, I want to put my style in everything. I don't try to drift from my style and do what the architect wants always. Otherwise, I always fail. So only if I'm putting my style into my work. And secondly, you need to practice every day. So Riyaz sirf Sangeet ke liye nahi hota, it's for photography also. Like, I used to shoot street photography every day. But recently when I went after 2 months on the street, I was totally lost.
Right.
So basically you need to practice every day, and also you need to shoot different forms of photography. Only then those learnings will come into one form of photography that you want. And then you will be good at it. But today it's very easy to become a photographer because you have the platform to promote yourself and get work very easily.
Okay, so it was a very, very insightful session. I'm sure it will help a lot of people who are pursuing this as a career and want to be a photographer out there. Thank you so much, sir, for being with us here today.